Yeah, so listen to on sacraments. Oh, okay. So I guess I have to write some sort of test before our last day, which is not Wednesday, but next Monday. Monday's our last day, right? Next a week from this one today. I think so. Should have never done that. Giving away too many points. Too many people are going to pass. Okay. Yes.
So back to the thing about file. Should we just study like the quizzes?
No. Study everything. Study all your notes from day one. I don't know. I mean, well, no, I'm sorry. I do know. It's in the syllabus. It's in the syllabus. Right, Mr. Lackwilla?
Yeah.
What does it say in the syllabus?
No.
No. Index, yes, so you can use your notes, just what you can fit on the index card. So I recommend that you fit on the index card the important thing, or the things you can't remember or have difficulty with. It says in the syllabus that I was going to hand them out, which means I would have to buy them. I haven't bought them yet, so I guess I have to buy them quickly. Or you could just buy them yourself. I'm pretty sure they have them at the, I think I checked that the Seton Hall bookstore has them and the required, size. Get them as big, but don't, yes, Mr. Woodard?
Will there be a review?
Probably not. There's too much to review. You want me to review from the first day? I mean,
The most important stuff?
everything's important. It's all important. It's all important. There's no hierarchy of truths here. Study everything from day one. Because it's all fair game, Mr. Woodard. Because even if I went over the quote important points, I might throw in some stuff that aren't that important. And I don't want someone to be like, hey, you said this, we only did important stuff. Everything's fair game, sir. I think it says that in the syllabus as well. Yes, Mr. Wasserman?
Will it be like a good amount of things from like the quizzes and quizzes, for example?
Well, that's part of the beauty of the quizzes. It takes a heavy load off of me trying to come up with some bunch of questions. So, yeah, every quiz question is going to show up again. Not in the same format, sir. Not in the same format. And so don't assume that because you got the answer on the quiz and it was right, that, you're going to just, oh, yeah, that was A on the quiz. Boom. No, Mr. Dunn messes with the answers, so you better watch. I got you, sir, but Miss Scanio, yes?
Is the format going to be like the quizzes, like multiple choice?
Yeah, why reinvent the wheel? I'm not going to make it hard on myself. I want to grade and get through these things fast. I don't want to spend a million years on them. Yes, Mr. Skatunas? Yes, I understand. I got you. Sorry. Yeah, the feedback is annoying. Sorry about that. It's like any exam you've had. This is the spring semester. So I guess for some of you it could be your first semester in college. I'm going to presume most of you either have been here since September, late August, or transferred from someplace. Okay? So this is not your first rodeo, people. So, don't kid a kidder. Don't kid a kidder. Not saying it, but these are legitimate questions. But don't scare yourself. There's nothing's going to be on this exam that you haven't encountered in other tests. Actually, it'll probably be easier because I won't ask essays, and I don't want to grade your essays because I've had to grade your writing already. You see my point, Ms. Patel? That's why I don't do essays. So it's all multiple choice and true/false. That's it. Exactly as it has been. It's all basically facts and information, because I think that those are the groundwork you need right now as undergraduate students. You take the facts and you can chew on them and then think about them. Yes, sir, Mr. Woodard?
Would you be able to post the quizzes online? Or?
I've sent some of them out in emails. Oh, no, the quiz itself.
Yeah.
Because I think I sent the answers out for some of them, and I got lazy and I didn't for others. But I have them all, so I can scan them. Thank you, sir. And then send out the answers again. And sure, yeah, I'll do that. That could be like a review, sir. That would be a good review for the main point. That's a good idea. It's a good idea, sir. So I will do that to help. Are some of you scared? No. Some of you scared? If you're honest. Some of you are scared just because I know your engine is always running. I'm not saying you, Ms. Delacqua, but some people it's like, you know, I got to get an A, I got to get an A. So you're worried that you're not going to get an A and you want to, you know, just do a good job on the final exam. Some of you rightfully should be scared, and maybe you're not scared, saying you're not scared. And some of you, I've seen your notes, and, you know, I've seen the doodles and stuff like that. So you should be scared. But you'll probably pass anyways because I've given so many extra credits. By all rights, maybe not. Okay, Ribeiro, what does immutable mean? Okay, good. From the Latin word muto, which means change, believe it or not. Such as a mutation, a mutatio. Mutation is a change, yes. Muto plus habilis. I gave you this one. What do you think in means or can mean? What does in mean or can mean? Not. Yes, it is a negatifier. I don't know. I'm making up a word here, Mr. Rivera. That's not a standard word. Okay, but a negative, something that makes something negative. Not. Not. And what do you think obulis means in English? What do you think obulis means in English? Chan! Miss Chan, what do you think obulis means in English? Don't shake your head, Miss Chan. What English word does it look like? What English word does it look like? Chanmeister, come on. Or I should say Chanmeister. What is it? That's German. Meister, that's a man. Meisterin. Chanmeisterin. Come on, Chanmeisterin. No? Oh, come on. Don't give up so easily. If I say, are you able to do something, do you know what I mean? One of those words looks very similar to the Latin word obulis. Spell it out. Write it down. Look at it. Are you able to answer my question, Ms. Chan? Write that down. Write that down in your notes. Are you able to answer my question? You didn't write it down, Ms. Chan. I saw you. Let me see. Let me see. Able, so why don't you tell me that? Which word? Able. Okay. Obvious. Comes from Latin. Able. So not able to change. Immutable. What else did they say God was? Immanent. Oh, this is a good one because it's a homophone. Well, it's not really a homophone, but the way you pronounce it. Imminent and immanent. Okay, if the weatherman says that a rain or a thunderstorm is imminent, what does that mean, Mr. Barone? How soon? Very soon. Very soon. See, there's a difference, sir. There's a difference. Not just soon. Very soon. Almost immediately. Almost immediately. Oops. You can think of the word, well, forget that. I don't know what that is. If someone wants to, I don't know, instead of fighting with the cell phones, maybe I should make the cell phones my friend, because if they ever do take over the world, at least I'll be their friend, and they'll kill the rest of you. So if you look up imminent, what's its Latin root? I'm curious. I don't know. But for maybe, I don't know, 2 extra points, someone can bring up their cell phone and show me what the Latin root of imminent is. And be correct, sir. And be correct. Don't be shy. See what you got. Imminent. Where's the Latin root? Wrong. Our next contestant. Go sit down, Flappy. Thanks for playing. Thanks for playing, sir. Wrong. You got 1 shot. You got 1 shot. Come on down, sir. The lady's going to get here before you. Hold on a second. Where is it?
It's right there. It comes from eminere.
Oh, eminere, to overhang, meneo, to project. Okay, go away, gentlemen. She got it. Meneo, to project. Interesting. Which is not overhang. Interesting. Weird. I wonder how we get imminent from that. Let's see if you got the right word here. You do? About to happen. About to occur. Thank you, miss.
You're welcome.
Tanis gets 2 points. I think I like this. I think I like making you people work and sweat. Sweat a little bit for me. Okay? Meneo. Meneo. I'm curious about this because this is in plus meneo. Long E. Meneo, not meneo, right? Ribeiro, not Ribeiro. Not Ribeiro, it's Ribeiro. Okay, so an overhang, right, Miss Tanis? The overhang, so not overhanging. Interesting. I wonder how that became to be like just about to occur. Maybe it's not hanging over your head anymore, it's happening now. Okay, but whatever. Overhang, meneo, imminent, about to occur, about to happen. All right, but God is not imminent. God is not imminent. The cross movement gentlemen say immanent. I think I know what the Latin word it comes from, but I could be wrong, so I won't say anything. I'll let you work that one out. Okay, who's our next contestant? What's the Latin? 2 points. Writing it down, 2 points. Imminent. What's the Latin basis for it? La-da-da-dee. Oh, she might be wrong, Miss Scanio. Why would you say that about yourself? See? That's the devil. That's the dark one. No, I'm serious. That's the dark one. Who tells you that you're probably wrong. Or you're not good. Or God. Yeah, how many people are told, how many times in your life have you been told God loves you? How many people in this class, except for Ms. Wilkin, because we know this, have heard God hates you? How often have you gone to church and had the priest preach on how God hates everyone there? God hates you. Have you ever had someone say God hates you?
Yes.
That's why I said exclude her. Okay? Is this your family, the tratty, traditional?
Not only them, but yes.
Oh, okay. I'm not talking about that Baptist church people who show up and say God hates gay people. I'm talking about like someone just like, God hates you. Okay. But not often. Have you heard more God loves you?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Which do you believe? Which do you believe?
I don't believe in either because I don't believe in God. So.
Well, exactly. Well, that's true. Hey, then she's right. She's right if she doesn't believe in God. But I'll tell you. Okay, hold on. Oh, it went on. Hold on. Didn't I tell you the story about the whatchamacallit? The microwave background radiation? Cosmic microwave. I didn't tell you about that?
Yes, you
What did I tell you?
But you asked Mr. Barone about
Thank
the background.
So she got it.
you. She got it.
I'll get my
Okay, Nichols. No. What did I tell you, Nichols?
You said something to Mr. Barone about, you asked if we knew what background radiation was, and he said he knew, and then he didn't know.
He does that a lot. I can imagine him out in the clubs with the ladies, talking, oh yeah, oh, did you know I played for the NHL for 5 years? I'm a former hockey player. Yeah, right, Barone. No, just making fun. But what did I tell you about the cosmic? No. Interesting. Yes. Interesting. That just the European Space Agency, because I love science, Ms. Wilden. I love science. Every time I look at science, I see the face of God skip to me. The European Space Agency recently, about 5 years ago, finished mapping the whole cosmic background radiation. What is that? What is the cosmic microwave background? CMB, as it's called. It is the residue of the Big Bang. When there's an explosion, the residue of that was microwaves that you hear on your radio. If you hear static on your radio for a long, long time, they didn't know what it was until a bunch of dudes were doing a test down by Princeton for, I think, Bell Labs or something, and they brought in somebody and like, the guys listening, like, this is sound of microwave radiation, and it was one of the proofs for, well, Hubble's theory, not just Hubble's theory, but also the theory that was proposed for the Big Bang. So I believe in the Big Bang. I mean, how can you not? The proof is there. The proof's there, the proof's there. So every time you hear static on your radio and curse it, it's like flipping around and you hear like the Hispanic station, and you turn around and it's Haitian Creole, then you finally get to your station, it's like, damn! You can blame the Big Bang, because it's all around. You're hearing the microwave. But it was interesting when the Europeans, and they produced the best map that we have of the patches of the hot spots, the cold spots, all the spots of the microwave background radiation. But you have to break it down because they've made it into like a big picture, like a big rugby ball. And it looks green and blue and orange and red. But you have to break down each section to get more detail into what's going on in each area. But it's interesting because what they found was, there's, of course, the axis, or I'm not an astronomer, but whatever they call it, the middle section, okay, the plane on which is time-space, okay, which was just what we call it, but this plane in the middle on which everything kind of is around. And it was interesting because as they broke down smaller bits, they found that this plane was directly parallel to the plane of our solar system. And I don't mean because there are other solar systems. We found them in our own galaxy. There are other solar systems. What does that mean? That there are planets going around a star. That's all a solar system is. We found there are other ones. I don't mean that the plane is solar system. I mean our solar system in particular. This one solar system and this one galaxy out of billions of galaxies. Now, remember, the Big Bang happened about, 14 billion years ago? Actually, about 13,700,000,000. They were able to actually, through mapping the microwave radiation, make it more precise about how long a time ago. So a little over 14 billion years ago, That's 14, and our planet Earth and our solar system is around 4-ish billion years ago. So the question, was, how did 10 billion years ago, before even the early parts of our solar system started forming, did the Big Bang know to order itself towards our solar system? I don't know. But I did write an email to one of the people over in England, I think he teaches at Oxford, who was involved in it, and he had one of his student assistants write me back, and I guess I'm a PhD, but I guess I wasn't, and nevertheless, asking, because I wanted an explanation. I want an explanation, because I remember the guy, Estathiou is his name, a Greek guy. I was reading the article, so I have the article still. I was reading the article, and the guy said, it was kind of funny, I guess he has a sense of humor. He said, when asked to explain it by the reporter, he said, well, I would say God. But I have been told by my colleagues specifically not to mention that. Don't say God. Because that was the first thing that popped into their head, interestingly enough, even for some of them who are atheists. So I sent him an email, and anyways, had a little email exchange over the matter, because I didn't understand all the nuts and bolts of what they were doing. So I wanted to understand, what does this mean that the plane of the microwave radiation is directly paralleling our sun and our planets going around our sun, not other planets, just ours. Interesting. I don't know what to make of it. I already believed in God, Ms. Wilgan, so I didn't necessarily need the proof. But when I can find it, I say, thank you, Lord, a little tip of the hat. Now let's move on to the Indian food. Because that, for me, is the #1 proof. I don't need Thomas Aquinas' 5 proofs. I've already got tikka masala, bhajis, naan, pakora, Rogan Josh. Those are my 5 proofs for the Lord. Moving on. Imminent. So maneo, good, Ms. Nichols, which means to remain or to stay in a certain place. To stay in a certain place. Maneo. To remain. Okay. And we have this. Now, does that mean he does not remain in a certain place? Yes. That means that God is everywhere. The opposite of remaining in a certain place is to be everywhere. Opposite, okay? I cannot be everywhere. See? I was just there, now I'm here. I'm not there anymore. I can't be there both times. I can't even fill this room. God, because he is a spiritual being, and angels as well, have that freedom of movement in a way where they can be in more than one place. But this is beyond being in more than one place for the Lord. When you talk about God, you're talking about God is everywhere and fills everything. There is no space where his presence is not. It is not, however, do not confuse immanent with pantheism. There's a difference. When Christianity says that God is everywhere, and even amongst Christian theologians, there's some Christian theologians who try to sneak in this idea of pantheism. They won't call it pantheism, they'll call it panentheism. Which kind of belies the question of why are you even calling it panentheism if it's not pantheism. They try to say that God is both across and in the universe. Pan in Greek, not in Latin. Interesting. Pan means across. Pan American Airlines, which no longer exists. But why do they call the airline Pan American? Because it goes across the Americas. And maybe Europe, which kind of makes a stupid name, but they don't exist anymore, okay? The Pan American Games are kind of like the Olympics for North and South America.
say, the American continents. Why are they called pan? Because it's a cross, the Americas. Pan means a cross. Okay? Pantheism, there's some pantheistic religions. Hinduism would be a major one, although not all forms, there were ancient forms of Hinduism, but they're not considered orthodox, they're considered actually heretical schools of Hinduism nowadays, but there used to be schools that thought that were not pantheistic. Whatever. Pantheism basically means that God is not just Mr. Barone, Mr. Miller, excuse me, Mr. Barone. What? Nothing. Pantheism is not just the belief that God is present everywhere, but He is also present in everything. Okay? When the church says that God is immanent, basically saying present everywhere, that God has no limit to His presence, He does not remain in one place. The church does not mean, therefore, that God is in everything. Okay? In the stuff of the created universe. Okay? Yes, I know we talked about the Spirit can be in us, God's Spirit, God's presence can be in us through baptism and the sacraments. But remember, His place in us is how the church views it. It doesn't mean like, somehow God becomes you and you become God. Like Hinduism, that's Hinduism, or the mainstream of Hindu thought, no matter which version you adhere to, whether you worship Vishnu or Shiva, Krishna, Kali, whatever, all the modern strains of Hinduism kind of believe that everything really blends into, or you kind of blend into God, the divine, and the divine blends into you. That's why I hate yoga. Not yoga, yoga of India. I hate yoga and that is practiced in America. Let me specify that. People with their yoga mats, people who, on these commercials, every time I see them, I just want to go, or even when I see them, I'm sure they have yoga here at the thing. I want to go in there with a whip. Sorry, no, I'm not a violent man. No, but I want to go in there and say, you don't know what you're doing, people. Okay? Because yoga is from beginning to end a religious action. First of all, it's taught under the direction of a yogi who is a man. They do have women, but typically it should not be a woman. Certainly not a woman teaching men. Okay? I remember I was watching some show on House Hunters or something, and somebody was talking about she was a yogi. Like, she didn't even know the terminology. It was yogini. It changes for women. She didn't even know her own language. And you go to some of these yoga things, and they burn a little incense, and they namaste and stuff like that. Like that's the language of India. India has like 20-some official languages, but okay, namaste, whatever. Ask them, if you go to a yoga class, you ever go to a yoga class and have the person, they greet you like this? No? Ask them what it means. Ask them what it means. Because yoga is you're taught by a yogi, a guru in a sense, a teacher. You are given a mantra that is only yours. You don't create a mantra. You're given a mantra by your teacher. And you are supposed to go through the positions while meditating on the mantra over and over and over again. The physical aspect of it is not the main aspect of it. Okay? If you go to India and see real yoga, the yogis, you look for it on YouTube. Okay? I mean, these real guys who stand there, praying to the sun. I mean, it's like 12 times you have to do like 10 yogic actions at once. I mean, it's pretty intense. Pretty intense. But the physical action is not the thing. The action is to release your mind to realizing through the pain of the practice. Okay? And that's part of the yoga. There are different forms of yoga. There's sexual yoga as well. Okay, which, those of you who have ever read the Kama Sutra, you expose yourself to. I don't recommend reading the Kama Sutra. Unless you have, well, I'm just saying, if you have control over your sexual imagination, you want to read it just because you're interested, fine. But, you know, it's basically a how-to book of yogic sex, okay? Some of it rather interesting, some of it rather weird, like suspending the woman with wires and stuff and having her come down on the man. Well, that's no pun intended. But, you know, having people, sometimes it's like a magic act. You got to have people help you out, you know? I'm serious. They have pictures of this stuff because, you know, they were thinking of all the ways because of the sexual act. And I've mentioned this before. This is why I love Hinduism. It's such an ancient religion. These practices that you found in Greece and Rome and other cultures still persist. Remember when I told you about the selling the kids off to temple prostitutes? Why did the temples have prostitutes? Because sex was part of the worship of the gods. Somehow having sex with, say, a prostitute at the temple to, I don't know, Adonis, which would be a man, interestingly enough, your orgasm was seen also as a spiritual release and connected you with the gods. Same thing in Hinduism, tantric yoga. But, you know, most of they don't teach that yoga that I see at the gymnasia, which I think would be rather interesting if they did tantric yoga at the local gym. You know, worried about people cleaning off the equipment at the gym that day. Bring a lot of handy wipes, Mr. Miller. Anyway, so these people who, I don't know, they're dabblers. All it is really just a bunch of Westerners who are stretching their bodies in a variety of ways and dabbling. And I'm sorry, you know, it's not, whatever. It's not just me saying that. Even people who are Indian, I heard a news report on NPR, National Public Radio, about, you know, it was nice that Americans were getting into Indian culture and learning something about Indian culture, but we always have to take out, you know, it's like we have to take out the religious element, and we leave the husks. But when you take that out, you lose the process, or you lose the reason for it. Why do Indians do it? Why do you have yogis doing it? Anywho, so what was that about yoga? Oh yes, to know that you are God and God is you. That's the whole point of yoga. It's not to bring peace to your soul. The peace is realizing that in the changeable world, the one thing that is unchangeable is you, your Atman, your soul, we can call it, which is God. And once you realize that, then you're liberated. You feel liberated from, it doesn't matter if you're reborn 1,000,000 times over, because it's the same you. And you'll always go back to that divine spirit. Pantheism is not what the church means by immanent. God is not within everything. Okay? You've got to be careful with this, because sometimes you'll, I don't know, maybe one of you will want to become a nun one day. Still Aquila. You look great in a wimple.
I'm sorry?
Nothing. But who knows? Maybe Ms. Beckera Olerer will find some Armenian order of nuns and will want to join them. Just make sure they're not some of the kooky nuns we have here, which pray to Mother Earth and, you know, talk about, you know, are basically they're pantheists. They're not even Christians anymore. I remember a few years ago there was all that news story about the Vatican was coming down on the nuns. The Vatican had a big hate, Mr. Scavelli, for these nuns. Not a hate on nuns, it was trying to weed out these groups that were not Christian anymore. Anywho, so immanence, to be immediately present. Okay, good. God is transcendent. He is above all things. He is above all things, to transcend. Again, the word trans, which comes from Latin, not Greek, means to be across. You transcend, okay? You are across. God is above and beyond the physical world. I mean, I guess that's the only way I know how to explain it. I've tried to think of better ways, and I just can't. That's just the way my monkey mind works. I can only really think spatially and physically. But just yourself try to understand it. I'm trying to think of another category. Just that God is not part of the physical. He's not physical. He's not physical. He can enter into the physical world, but he's not material. Okay, which leads us, and I do want to finish the Trinity almost immediately. Ooh, whoops. Which might lead someone to the question, which has not been asked, but why should it be? Well, Mr. Dunn, maybe I won't finish it. I got this, I got the other one. See now. Put that in a second. Which, if someone were listening and also thinking, you haven't taken any notes at all? No? Huh? You're good? Put it out of memory? Really?
Well, like you talking.
Okay. So you're like knocking it out of the park in all the quizzes and everything. You're getting like 20. Interesting. But I have a memory too. I'm not sure my memory accords with that memory. But, hey, whatever. Someone might ask, as I said, God's not material. What about Jesus? That doesn't throw a monkey wrench into the ointment. That doesn't throw a Messiah into the soup. I'm just joking. A monkey into the wrench, an ointment into the fly. No? Miss Tom, what do you think? How can God be Jesus then if he's not material? You don't know. Who believes that? Who believes that? You don't have to tell me. But if you believe it, just explain it to me. Come on. You, I know you don't believe it. You're safe. How's that milkshake? Where's that coffee? Mocha. Ms. Nichols, do you believe it? Just curious. Then why do you believe it? But you don't know it. Interesting. Do you believe it?
I do.
Then you're on the floor. I give a microphone to you, sir. Explain it to me.
I don't have a good answer for you.
Give me an answer. I don't care if it's good or not. What pops into your head?
I mean, God evidently wasn't going to come into this world and be known to us through just being a spirit. The Holy Spirit's always been present, God's always been present. And evidently that wasn't going to be good enough justice. So, get a sense of somebody. It's him, but not, like I said to you, like the whole, my mother, my sister, my daughter.
Yeah.
It is God, but, another person of God, I guess.
Okay. So, let me see.
I think the things that they're talking about, like the image and everything, that's applying more to God the Father than God the Son.
Oh, really? The attributes of God
Some of them apply more to other persons of the Trinity than others. Interesting. So like, Jesus cannot be everywhere, but God the Father can be. Can the Holy Spirit be everywhere?
Yep.
How do you know that?
Believe it on faith.
You believe it on faith. What does that mean?
Good question. Did a lot in my philosophy class.
Or are you just making it up?
I'm making up as I go along.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going on. People don't know. They know what they believe, probably more what they've been told to believe, and which hasn't been explained to them. And then when issues might arise, you kind of, well, yeah, I'll make it up so I can at least answer the question provisionally, and it won't ruin my day. Move on.
Do you believe?
Huh?
Do you believe?
Of course. But I question it all the time.
Well, then explain it as best you can.
Why?
Enlighten me.
I'm not the one sitting with like a page of no notes.
Did you know me?
Oh, you turned the page. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Lockwood, you had your hand up. Did you want to contribute?
I was gonna say, like, isn't it what you were talking about with the way that, like, God has to be, you were saying it earlier, like, God has to kind of, like, give it to us and we should accept him, kind of, right? You have to go with that idea that God is automatically in everything, it's not everything but acceptance.
So he wasn't in Jesus?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just
Okay,
saying,
because I'm not following. Go ahead, try it again.
like,
Maybe you're clear. I'm just not getting it.
what
So
I'm
just explain it to
saying
me
is
again.
that, like, your argument was that, like, how is God and Jesus if he can't be in sin, right? No, you were asking.
Well, it can't become material, can he? It can't be matter. Doesn't Jesus matter?
See, then that's where I disagree, because I think he could be as Jesus God.
Well, I agree he could be as the Son too. But I'm saying, are you saying he wasn't really materially the Son? Like flesh and bone, veins, arteries, muscles? He was, okay.
I'm trying to think of another way I could word it.
Huh?
I'm trying to think of a different way to say it.
Okay.
I don't know how to say it. I was just trying to, like, explain how, like, you were talking about how, like, not everything, like, God couldn't be in everything, because, like,
I didn't say that.
what?
I'm not saying God couldn't be in everything. He's not. That's why there are pantheists. There are people who believe that God is in everything. But that's not what the church believes.
So the church believes that God can't be in it, and
Huh?
so the church believes that God can't be in.
God is present everywhere,
He's not in anything. He's not
but
in this matter.
since he's spirit, he's present in Jesus, and he was, you could say he was present in Jesus. But God is spirit, is not material in the Christian view. So how can he be present in Jesus, the man?
Are we considered spirits, though, too?
We
Or
are?
in body?
No. We're considered a composite unity. You are a unity of body and soul. Your spirit and your soul are equally important. That's the whole purpose of the resurrection of the flesh, which you confess every Sunday at church. I believe in the resurrection of the dead. Remember, I said this in a previous class. Literally, in the Latin, it says resurrection of the flesh. But because people might not know what they're talking about, they say resurrection of the dead. Okay, whatever. The body, why is the body resurrected? And you just don't become a spirit, because the body is as important as the soul for the church. Now, not all religions, again. Not even all Christians. I mentioned Christian Scientists. Or the Gnostics from early Christianity. Yes, Mr. Lepson.
Can't you look at it as like the same way like Pentecost when the Holy Spirit went into the apostles?
Well, does it say it went into them, or does it say it hovered over them and appeared as tongues of fire? They were filled with the Holy Spirit. Okay. You can infer from that there's a presence. But does that mean a presence actually in the flesh? I mean, if Jesus were present or here in front of me, I would worship him as a totality. I would not worship the God behind him or filling him. I would think of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the statues of Jesus exposing his heart. You know, you worship even parts of Jesus. Of course, not his heart. A little bit of his heart is a symbol of love, but interesting. Okay. Well, I guess where I want to leave it with that is, why would you believe in something that you don't understand, don't know, can't really explain to yourself or to another? Yes.
Isn't that the kind of faith?
No. No. That's what you'll hear atheists tell you the point of faith is. The church has never said that. The church has always defended that faith and reason go together. You are to believe. Yes, there are things to believe. We all believe stuff. But you're supposed to think about what you believe. Yes.
My roommate is like really religious, and she's a Christian, and
Not the same thing, yes.
Yeah, but I'm saying
Okay,
she's Christian, and like we have conversations about God and stuff. I explain that my God is like we're excited and like what happens to us. Like there's a lot of things that you can't explain, but she just accepts that being having faith and believing that God is like.
Well, good for her. I'm glad she has no doubts. Good for her. Well, remember what I read to you. See, my reference point is Jesus and the revelation given to the church of Jesus. I got you, Mr. Letzo. And remember what I read to you from the end of the Gospel of Matthew. Did his followers have doubts about him? Yes, Matthew specifically said. So did Jesus allow people to question him, to challenge him, to tell him they thought he was wrong? All the time, if you read the Gospels. He was in almost constant controversy with people who thought he was wrong. You hardly find anybody patting Jesus on the back saying, "Hey, Jesus, you're wonderful, you're beautiful." Unless they wanted something from him. They're either setting him up for, a question that they thought he couldn't answer, or I always love in the Gospel of John, his brothers say to him, his relatives, he's got some brothers, and they say, "Jesus, you shouldn't be staying here around Galilee. Go to Jerusalem." It's like the whole go to Vegas idea, Go to, anyone see Shark Tank on Friday? The guys, no? Well, anyways. Go to Vegas, Jesus, Why should you stay around here in Nazareth? Go and show them in Vegas. Go to Jerusalem, where they can see and acknowledge these great miracles that you're doing, these signs. But John, the writer, adds, they didn't say this because they were trying to encourage Jesus. They said this because they did not believe in him. Not that they didn't believe he could work the miracles, but they thought that these signs were not saying who he was for Israel, but they were just, things to impress and make money and gain power on. They didn't believe him. So even some of his closest relatives didn't believe in him. So I asked myself, I'm not saying anything to you, so I asked myself as Becker O'Larry, if that's how Jesus treated other people and allowed people to treat him, what's different with me? Did Jesus get angry with people who had doubts about him? No. Not that I can find. Jesus would answer people's questions, and if they accepted the answer, great, but if they didn't, he allowed them to walk away. He didn't throw, bricks at them and say, "Oh, by the way, burn in hell, you son of a bitch, Oh, you don't believe in me? I'm the Son of God. You don't know who you're dealing with, No, Jesus was, okay, person didn't believe. Sometimes the Gospels tell us it made Jesus sad in certain cases because there were certain people he really liked and wanted to be his followers. He even asked, "Be my follower." And the person said no because they couldn't believe in certain things. So I'm glad your friend has faith. God bless her or him or whatever. But, to have doubts is addressed in the gospel, and that's my standard for dealing with God. And I bring my doubts, to God. That's what prayer is, talking to God. Tell Him. If you have a doubt, tell Him, this makes no sense to me, Lord. I'm told to believe this, but this makes no sense to me. I'm told you exist, and that you're all good and loving, but this happens and I don't understand it. Or Mr. Dunn tells us that, Jesus is both the Son of God and Son of Man. He's God in the flesh. But, that sounds like a myth to me. Ask God for an explanation. I'm not saying He's going to going to give you a rundown. Okay? But, sometimes, or answers, I wouldn't call them answers. I'm trying to think of my own experience. It's more like a relationship type thing, where you start to understand and accept the way, that it was that way, even if you don't understand it. Okay, you know what I'm saying? That even the people who are closest to Jesus didn't understand Him fully. We'd like to believe they did. And I think that's the mythological side of us. We want to know, we have that sense that we want to know the answer to every question, so we create up some mythos, some story. So of course, before Jesus went up to heaven with the ascension, Jesus laid out every doctrine that you'll find in the catechism, and other doctrines we haven't discovered yet, but we will later. And then we'll just throw it into the mix and say, oh yeah, Jesus told them about that too, Apostles had it all figured out. They knew about the Trinity. They knew all about the ins and outs of the Trinity. Okay, maybe they did. Maybe Jesus gave them infused knowledge, and they had some kind of vision or experience of everything. I don't think so. Just from my reading, of church history, things had to develop. Why do we have Council of Nicaea, where even bishops were disagreeing? Why would the apostles have all the perfect knowledge and then not pass it on? That's almost wicked in a way. Yes, Mr. Letso.
Just going what you said about, faith and reason having to be together, and what you just said about us, kind of striving for, that knowledge or wisdom. If you read, St. Thomas Aquinas, he actually talks about, the human intellect actually being able to go so far.
Yeah.
So we need faith in Scripture to be able to actually even attempt to comprehend what we can't explain.
True, but we can still comprehend God even through natural reason. And Aquinas and the Church has always affirmed, even those who were not Christians, who lived many, many, many thousands of years even before Christ, were able to know and understand God through the use of natural reason, without necessarily having faith. Maybe some form of seminal to seed-like faith. Okay, I'm not saying that they were all damned to hell because they didn't know Christ, though some Christians would say that, but the Church has never said that. But yes, faith does add something. But even faith doesn't explain everything. Okay, faith doesn't explain everything because God is incomprehensible. God is incomprehensible. I'm a created being right there, just in that one aspect of what I am. I'm different from God, who's uncreated. So I cannot fully understand what it means to be even uncreated. So there's one difference. I cannot understand your experiences. I'm not in your bodies right now knowing what's going on in your minds. So even together as created creatures, we cannot understand each other. To some extent, we can't even understand what's going on in ourselves, because if you believe psychology, we have both subconsciousness and we have unconsciousness. So there are things going on in our brains that, we just don't have any control over. Some of them are bodily functions like breathing, heart beating, but others can be emotions, how you react when you see the male form and you're a man. You might react sexually. That's how your body reacts. I find this attractive. This attracts me. It's there. It's a feeling. Okay? You can't control it. All right? What Thomas Aquinas is dealing with is with our active intellect. Aquinas didn't really know about Freud and the unconscious and subconscious, okay? The active intellect is that the intellect is always thinking and stuff like that. But no, you can't fully know God. You can't fully know a lot of things. So when I hear someone say, who maybe isn't a believer, well, if God's incomprehensible, then what's the point anyway? You're an agnostic. You might as well just be an agnostic and say, well, there is a God, there isn't a God. You can't be in relationship with Him 100%. Why? I don't understand why we seem to set different standards on knowing and relating to God than we do with other things, like the sciences. The sciences, which you can't know. It's impossible for one person to know every aspect of the sciences. That's why you have specialization. But no one says, we just got to be agnostic about it. We just don't know, Forget about biology, astronomy. What can you know? You can't know everything. You can't know everything, So don't study anything. The scary thing is that with postmodernism, we're going in that direction, where that first is attacking religion. You can't know anything in religion or about the supernatural. But it's also coming to the natural, because if you can't really know anything, why bother? Why are you sending out little gadgets and stuff to Mars? What's the purpose of the knowledge? Look at the cosmos. Look how huge it is. So you're going to study the soil on one little planet. What's the point of that? Spending billions of dollars to do it. Why? Why not take that billions of dollars and, give people clean water in Africa? See? Even science is vulnerable to some of these questions, Why study about gods? It's pointless. Pointless. Just help your fellow man. Okay. La-da-da-dee. Forget about it. All right. Oh, God. Remember what I told you from the last class. God, I told you, there's God the Father, God the Father sends the Son. God the Son does not die on the cross. Jesus of Nazareth dies on the cross. Difference. So when I threw out that question about how can God, who is spirit, be matter, He wasn't matter. He didn't become matter in Jesus. Okay? Because God cannot become what He is not. Let's put it that way. For example, God, people might think, well, can God ever do anything bad? Well, no, He can't. There are things God can't do by nature. Just like there are things I can't do by nature. By nature, I can't be uncreated. I made this point. I have a birth, I have a mother, I have a father. It happened. I can't undo that. I can't always say, oh, no, I wasn't created. I'm without beginning. No, we have the birth certificate. Unlike some famous people I can mention. No, they found the birth. I'm just kidding. Too old, too far. No birther humor. You can't. No one. No. All right, that's what Skatoon is.
I was going to say comedian, those people that don't have birth certificates.
Even that joke is too old for you to remember? President Obama, remember the whole birther thing?
I don't know. The only birth certificate problem I know was in the Little League World Series with that kid, Danielle Monk.
That you remember. Yeah. Huh?
He was like 15.
Who, Obama? He couldn't produce the original birth certificate. So there were people trying to say that actually he was born in a hospital in Kenya, so he wasn't naturally born, so there was some moves like that. And eventually they did produce the birth certificate, or a copy thereof. They never were able to produce the first one. My conspiracy theory is that, I mean, the guy lived all over the country. I just think they lost, somewhere along the way in the packing, they lost it. But, whatever, it's old news apparently, so I'll have to scratch that joke out of my bits, because that is too old, that's too moldy. All right, God assumes flesh. That's why we use specific words. God takes on flesh. He becomes man. By man, there's a reason why the church says man and not human being. I know sometimes people have fights to the death over this. I'm not trying to be a chauvinist, Mr. Spittoonist, but Jesus is to affirm not just the reality that Jesus took on a body, was a human being, but that he was a male human being. Okay? That's important, because the church wants to affirm the reality of what happened, not just say the symbolism, because say Jesus took on a body, became a human being, could be understood kind of symbolically, like he became the perfect human in a way. But it doesn't matter whether he was male or female or whatever. No, Jesus had a phallus. Jesus was a man. He grew hair in certain places that most women don't. He had a prostate, which women don't have. Okay, so he was a physically male creature. I don't know that, whatever. So you have to remember that. God did not change or become matter, but he took on a human nature. His personhood did not change. That did not change. Jesus was not a human person. You have to understand the difference. He was not a human center of consciousness and relationality, okay, because he was already a divine center of consciousness. So there was no change in that. The change that happens is what the Son of God was, of a divine nature. There is a change in that when he takes on human nature. He becomes, his what changes. That's what changes. His what from being solely divine in nature becomes divine and human. And that's really the only logical way that the church could explain how Jesus could act, speak, relate to people both, in some cases as he believed he had divine powers, and other times he was a man, simply a man like anybody else. So on the cross, God by nature was spirit, doesn't have a heart to bleed, doesn't have organs to fail. Okay, the divine nature is spiritual. It doesn't have physical organs, and it doesn't die because it has no beginning or end. I mean, death is not a question for a spiritual nature. But for his human nature, yes. So it is in the humanity of Jesus that there is death. Now this union, one last thing. In the person, this union, this is important, this union in the person of Jesus is a union, but there is distinction, okay? And don't let that freak somebody out, because that doesn't mean there's separation, like now you have some kind of, now there are two kind of gods, the God Jesus and then the human Jesus, okay? I don't know how it works, and I don't know how it worked in Jesus, but I do know that the church just has to be affirmed that he was both fully man and fully human. He becomes not just consubstantial with God from the Creed, he is also consubstantial now with us. See you on Wednesday. God bless you. Somebody bless you, I don't know anymore. I hate the sheep. Really, God hates you? Someone told you that?
Yeah.
How can God hate you?
I don't know.
Such a nice person. Maybe the person just had a bad day. Bad gas or something. They're just like lashing out.
Have a nice day.
You too, miss.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, thank you. Beirut. Oh, they already got a text from you for something.
Oh, no, you just sent me.
Ms. Chan? Yes? I know, I saw you got it wrong. You answered the rest, that's what, yeah.
I just stared at you.
Yeah, sorry, miss, but yeah, you answered, you gave the wrong answer, so I
I just
couldn't.
thought you didn't see that.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
But,
Chan.
is there, can I get the part that, the question part?
Oh, sure, yeah, if someone was asking about that, I'll have to send it out in an email. That's okay.
For the final,
Yeah.
like, can I use my dictionary for that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, you can use a dictionary.
Can I use, like, the dictionary?
I'm sorry?
The dictionary on my phone?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, no, you can use it, yeah, it's fine. You're welcome. Man. Hello, I gotta cut off questions. No more questions. Just believe. Just believe. No, I get to be talking and I yak too much. That leads into other areas.
All right, bye, Dr. Dunn. Have a good one.
Bye, Ms. Sabatello. Have a good day. Yes, Miss.
For the final, is it okay to use that the other time, so like when I use my dictionary, so I don't know, so watching TV or
Okay. I mean, it doesn't bother me. And it doesn't really, I mean, if someone asks, I would just say, she needs, English is not her first language, she needs to use it, and it's fine. But if you want, you would feel more comfortable doing it somewhere else? You sure? Well, we would just do it up in the office. I would leave a copy of the test for you with the secretary, and she would, whenever you showed up, you would take, well, you have to do it quickly, because I have to put final grades in. You sure? Okay. Yeah, let me know if it's going to make you too nervous and 2 hours is not going to be long enough.
Oh,
Yeah, that.
if I can finish here, like, can I finish?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can finish upstairs.
When I'm finishing, can I finish?
Yeah. Yeah, you can finish
How
upstairs.
long is it, like, 20 questions or?
20 for the final exam?
I just want to.
Well, let's see. We have 7 quizzes, 20 questions. That's like maybe around 140.
So the questions from, like, similar with the quiz?
Yeah, I'll change the questions, many of them, to different answers, because I don't want people just to memorize the quiz answers. So you'll still have to think. And there might be other questions, maybe if I can remember stuff. But there might be some other questions. But yeah, it'll probably be around 150 some questions. Understand? Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Ms. Chan.
Have a nice day.
You too. Have a nice day.